Matthew Meyer earlier today on the show. We're joined by Drew Estrada, part of the Houston Texans, former Baylor wide receiver. Drew with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke. Drew, thanks for your time. So how was the weekend for you? Was it nerve-wracking? Was it anxiety? Was it, well, heck, I'm going to get a phone call by somebody at some point?
It was a little bit of a long weekend, but I kind of was at peace with whatever happened. Felt like, I did what I needed to do. Preparation wise, and if I got an opportunity, I got an opportunity, great. And if I didn't, I didn't. But fortunately, it worked out, and I got an opportunity.
How many conversations did you have with the Texans prior to them signing you? What was the pre-draft? Did you kind of have an idea of what teams liked you outside of the Texans?
Yeah, there was some interest through Pro Day, and then the time period between Pro Day leading up to the draft. There was definitely, some good conversations, but again, you never know because the draft is such a fluid process. Organizations make, decisions based on another team picking a guy. So you never know. But I knew I did have, some interest there.
So Drew, take us through, obviously a lot of Baylor guys go and great success there. I want to ask you about that later, but as the draft comes to a close, what was that process like? Because I remember keeping track and I was like, oh, Jaron McVay signed and Raleigh Tejada signed. And then you were a little bit later on, but it was great to see. But kind of what was that process, the draft ending to then deciding what you were going to do?
It was just kind of figuring it out at that point. They reach out before the draft's over. Teams do if there's someone interested. So I kind of had an idea of, that there would be an opportunity. It was just about, finding a good fit at that point. But yeah, really excited to see, all the guys that got opportunities. Just kind of showed, reflected on the season that we had last year.
Drew, you mentioned you were at peace no matter what happened. What were you kind of explain that?
I feel like it was God's plan with whatever was going to happen. I felt like I put, everything I could, whether that was on tape. And, my journey's been a little bit different than some other players, obviously bouncing from Dartmouth to here. And I felt like if I were going to get an opportunity that, and that was in God's plan, then it was going to happen. So that's kind of what I mean by that.
So you're going to be there with Petrie, so that's cool. Does that make it easier, or were you? You've already kind of gone to a place where you didn't know anybody and started playing football, but does it make it easier to go with somebody you know?
I wouldn't say it makes it any harder. Obviously, there's going to be some differences with change and new environment, but obviously Petrie's a fantastic player. And, he really helped me develop, last year we went against each other a lot in one-on-ones and in practice. So, I'll be looking forward to, continuing to compete with him, but, on the same team still, which that'll be exciting.
Drew, did you have any idea when you decided to transfer that you would be in for the ride that you ended up in with just the season itself? Obviously, the championships won, big draft, big undrafted free agents. But did you have any idea when you came to Waco that you were in store for what you were in store for?
Not to the extent that it happened, no. I don't think anyone, could have quite predicted what last year would have been like. But, when I got here, I knew there was something different going on. I knew that the guys were here. It was just about kind of putting all the pieces together and getting the team fully committed. So I knew we were talented. And then once we started winning games, I was like, we got a really good shot to make something special happen this year. And we did.
What was that like?
It was incredible. Obviously getting to play, in some big time venues, big time, stadiums, a lot, big crowds and stuff like that. It was exciting. And it was just cool because, being back home in Texas, having some of my family and friends who never really got to see me play, be able to make those trips to watch me play, that was special for me.
Yeah, well, you had a hell of a career in high school here. We all know the history there with what you did, and to have you come back and kind of cap it off with the kind of year at Baylor as well. What did the Texans tell you? Can you kind of explain, what do they say? And is it better to not be drafted if it's late in the later rounds, so you can find the right fit?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think that all that nuance, discussion matters too much. It's all about, wherever you end up, getting down and putting your head down and working. There's talk about, advantages, being undrafted because you get to select where you go, but I wouldn't, necessarily say that there's, something to be said about being drafted too. I mean, that's really special as well. So, whatever happens, wherever you fall in that process, I think it's really all about the player, getting ready to go to work and putting his head down and grinding once he gets there.
Doesn't that kind of describe Baylor football?
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, absolutely.
Drew, how do you feel about the young guys? You just had the spring game, I guess, a couple weeks ago at this point, and I mean, there's a lot of talent with yourself and Taekwon and RJ transferred. I mean, there's a lot of talent leaving, but what did you see during your time period from those young guys to give you some hope or confidence about them moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool to kind of see them grow throughout the year, and not only that, I mean, I went to the spring game and I watched it, and those guys have matured even just in the time of the, end of the Sugar Bowl till now, just through spring ball. They've stepped their games up a lot, and they realize those opportunities are open. So I have full faith in those guys. They showed it in practice all year that they had the talent and ability. And so, I don't know if there's necessarily going to be a huge step down. There's a lot of good players, young guys, but really good players that are going to be able to step in and fill those roles.
What do you think about Blake Shapen stepping up?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, really tough decision, for the coaching staff, but I'm excited for Blake. Really poised player. Got an opportunity to kind of take the team on his shoulders now and improve himself even more. So, really happy for that guy, and I know he's worked hard for it. So I'm sure he'll take advantage of this opportunity.
I don't know if this is completely correct, but when he had to come in when Gary went down, unfortunately, with the injury, Shapen completed a pass pretty quickly. Was that to you?
Yeah. I mean, he came in and kind of threw the ball all over the place.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, we definitely had a good, solid connection, as did Gary and I. So, once again, I mean, I know it was a tough decision, but, I have no doubt that both those guys will end up doing something special with their careers.
Drew, I got to ask, because I've asked pretty much everybody when they've been on, because we don't know when we're going to talk to you guys again now that you're off to the pros. But where were you when the play was made in the Big 12 championship game by Jaron McVay? Can you kind of take us through what you were thinking at the time?
Yeah, so I was like all the way on the other end of the field, just like, because I kind of saw them driving the whole way. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, kind of being a little pessimistic about it. Like, oh my God, they're going to go in and score. And then I obviously had no idea what happened because of my vantage point. You couldn't really tell if he scored or not. But once all the defensive players started running off, we all started running on the field, and I was like trying to get everybody to stay on the sideline. I didn't want a penalty or anything, but it was just chaos. It was, obviously one of the more special moments in my career.
Were you able to go back and watch pretty quickly and just go, wow, how close that was? I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah, I didn't know how close it was until I went back and kind of watched, the replays of it and the highlights. So, yeah, incredible play.
It's probably almost better for a lot of guys that they didn't see in real time. You might have passed out how close it was.
Yeah. I don't know, with that much on the line. Just a few, basically like a few inches, which is insane that, came down to literally a few inches. So.
Drew, before we let you go, just your thoughts on your time there with Dave Aranda. We've seen him grow. I know you weren't there his first year, but just what was your experience like? And the rest of the staff is great as well, but what did you kind of see from him in that head coaching role with your time in Waco?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw consistency, like no matter what happened the week before or what kind of game we had in front of us. It was just consistency about what he expected, the type of work that we were going to put out. And then he was always going to match that with his work ethic and his game plan. Obviously just a football genius and a defensive guru, but I appreciated, going to work each day and kind of knowing that what you were going to get from him. That's like the absolute best every single day.
Hey, Drew, it was a 32-yard completion. He threw a 7-yard pass to Ben Sims. He came out firing, and again, it was the 32-yarder to you. And I think that's when, again, I know that you and Gary was fantastic as well, but that's when everyone kind of realized, man, this guy's not afraid of where he is. Because sometimes you get a backup quarterback in, and the first thing they start to do is hand the ball off or throw like really short passes. So that was part of the start of the kickoff of getting to know Blake Shape. And we're proud of you, man. It was great that, we got to know you. I remember seeing you at Argyle and the great success you had. And good luck with the Texans. Your head coach, Lovie Smith, if there's someone that I can think of in the coaching profession that reminds me of the uniqueness and genuine type person of Dave Aranda, it is Lovie Smith.
That's cool. That's good to hear. Yeah, from my interactions with him so far, he seems like a really, really good guy and really focused. So I'm sure he's going to get us right. So I'm excited.
Also, A+ beard that Lovie Smith has. A+.
Absolutely.
He does.
Absolutely.
He does have a beard, man. He does. Thank you very much, Drew. Great to have you on. Congratulations. Good luck going forward.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Drew
it.
Estrada, again, Argyle High School, great school for high school football. Then Dartmouth, and then came to Baylor and was a part of that passing game as part of the group that's gone.
He had a big touchdown against Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title game. He had some big catches at different times. Also, good blocker, special teams guy. So I wasn't surprised to see him picked up as an undrafted free agent. Maybe a tiny bit just because you never know. There's so many players in the league that, and we were watching guys from – lower levels getting drafted there towards the end, and you realize, man, there's a whole nother wave of guys that, and so many guys don't get picked, but, those undrafted free agents, they're going to have an opportunity, and Drew's got that opportunity, and that's great for him and for Jaron McVay and Raleigh Tejada and all the rest of them. So be interesting to see, kind of how their journey goes, but you got to have the chance first.
Yes, you do. When we come back, Paul Catalina